Good evening. If everyone, can I have everyone's attention, please? Welcome to the Henry County Board of Commissioners, 6:30, Tuesday, October 17, 2023, regular scheduled board meeting. We'll begin our meeting with the invocation from Pastor Leonard Hines, Henry County Fire Rescue, and then he will also lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. If everyone would please stand.
Well, good evening. Packed house tonight. Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Our Father, we thank you, Lord, for life. We thank you for this month of October, Lord, and all the many blessings you've bestowed upon us. And yet, Lord, tonight we meet with the business of governing. We meet, Lord, discussing business that has to be presented and accomplished. And so, Lord, I ask tonight a special touch on each and every one, that things would be done decently and in order. And Lord, that we would realize that growth sometimes requires a little pain, but the necessities, Lord, of moving forward. May you help us, be with us. Lord, I lift up tonight our public safety, our officers even now on patrol protecting us, those, Lord, within the Sheriff's Department and protecting and keeping those that, Lord, the safety in their realm. The firefighters, paramedics that are out answering the next call. And Lord, I thank you for our staff, our administration, our commissioners, governing body, and all those that labor in this vineyard. So Lord, we lift this meeting up to thee and ask for thy divine intervention and touch, and meet with us tonight, and we'll thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated.
I'd like to call our meeting to order. Have some announcements. The following planning and zoning items were advertised for October 17, 2023 Board of Commissioners meeting have been postponed by staff. Comp Amendment 23-02 has been postponed. John Carter of Jackson, Georgia, District 3, and RZ 23-03 postponed. John Carter of Jackson, District 3. This item has been postponed, so if there's anyone here for this particular item, you can, if you'd like to stay and sit through our meeting, you're more than welcome, but you can be dismissed. We have an amendment to the agenda. It's a walk-on item. ARPA funding for Kellytown Senior Project. Who is David Smith here? He's here. He's here, Chair. Okay, can you come forward? We're going to go ahead and move forward with this particular item that's being added to the agenda.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, Commissioners, and Henry County community. I truly apologize to all of you for having to walk this item on, but it's urgent that from my perspective, that we move forward with it. What I'd like to present to you is a resolution of the Board of Commissioners to perfect the record from a board meeting that we held back in April, and that was April 2nd of 2022. And the goal is to address the final action that's needed by this board to fully authorize and approve the expenditure of stimulus funds awarded to the county under ARPA for the Kellytown Senior Project. A little summary for you. I brought forth a presentation, which was a discussion item only, back in April, regarding ARPA funding of specific projects that this board did not act upon. One specific item that was not acted upon was the county assisting Georgia communities in the development of a tax credit application for the development of multifamily residences for senior citizens. It was going to be submitted and approved by DCA. It was an application. It's for a property that was going to be located at 109 Kellytown Road in McDonough, Georgia, to be known as Kellytown Senior. That project is to have a mixture of 72 market rate and lower rent units to benefit the seniors here in Henry County. There was much discussion, long discussion, and this board wanted to move forward with funding this particular project, but had to wait until Georgia Communities received approval from DCA. This board did provide a promissory note at that time. Georgia Communities recently received such approval, and I'm recommending that we move forward with making no more than $723,000 available from this ARPA fund to finance the construction of a multifamily rental housing unit project for senior citizens. This will address the final action needed by this board in order to fully authorize the use of ARPA funds, and staff recommends approval. I'm here for your questions.
Any questions from the board?
No question, but some clarification. Thank you, David, for your presentation. And I do remember us bringing forth this before the board, as you stated, and presenting it then. I just want to remind the public, this is part of the grand scheme of things that we looked at when we put the Publix down in that corner, and now have other wing stores and entrepreneurs opening as well, and other types of businesses in that area. We made that a hub, an economic hub for that community. And it has been so successful at this point in time. We've hired so many people, and there are other people trying to get into the plaza just to have a space in it. And we wanted to further support that program, in essence, by putting a built-in population that will support the businesses there. And this is that part of it, by having this multi-unit senior housing there. They will have a pathway directly from their facilities down to doctors, down to lawyers, down to dental work, and down to the other services in the area. So to this board, I just wanted to remind the public that this is one of the economic engines that we put in that area, and I do hope this board will support it. And Madam Chair, if you're open for a motion, I'll make it. I'd like to put forth a motion to approve this ARPA funds for this particular project.
Thank you.
You have questions?
Yes, ma'am. David, we put that amount aside, we have that amount put aside from the ARPA funds.
Yes, Commissioner.
So we did it at the time, this was unexpected.
We did, at the time, back in April, set aside that amount.
April 2022, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Any additional questions from the board? I have a motion. Can I get a second?
My second.
Got a motion and a second. No further discussion. All in favor? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, David. Next item on the agenda is a proclamation, National Bullying Prevention Month. If I could have Nicholas Ivy from Communications please come forward to present the proclamation, read the proclamation. Also, I know that we have some individuals that are here as well that will be accepting the proclamation. If you would come forward as well. Everyone that's here, and then we're going to get a picture with you once Nicholas reads the proclamation. Sheriff, I know that you're here.
Good evening, Chair, Vice Chair, Commissioners, Henry County community. We have a proclamation recognizing October as Bullying Prevention Month. And it reads, whereas bullying is the action of physically, verbally, sexually, or emotionally harming another person or group of people with repeated unwanted words or actions. And whereas bullying is an issue that occurs not only in neighborhoods, playgrounds, and schools, but also virtually on mobile devices and social media platforms, it can make everyday activities such as riding the bus, going to school, interacting online, and attending community activities increasingly difficult. And whereas across the country, bullying is considered one of the most common forms of violence affecting thousands of Georgia children and adolescents annually, and whereas young targets of bullying are at an increased risk for depression, anxiety, sleep difficulties, and lower academic achievement. Additionally, adult targets of bullying are at an increased risk to suffer from stress, anxiety, depression, loss of confidence, sleep loss, headaches, muscle pain, less interest to socialize, and lack of professional growth. And whereas those who bully are at a greater risk of engaging in serious violent behavior, hate crimes in their future. On the contrary, persons who witness bullying often feel less safe, intimidated, and helpless to stop it. And whereas the Corderos, organizers of Community Watch and community advocacy resources, form partnerships with Fearfully and Beautifully Made Fitness, local law enforcement such as the Henry County Sheriff's Office and the Henry County Police Department, schools and government officials to help reduce bullying, along with community organizations such as Pacers National Bullying Prevention Center, by promoting, advocating, and hosting community activities to foster a safe environment. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Henry County Board of Commissioners recognizes October as National Bullying Prevention Month in Henry County and encourages Henry County residents to engage in a variety of awareness and prevention activities designed to make our community safer for all adolescents.
Thank you. I know that we have our sheriff that's here, Sheriff Reginald Scandrick, that is joining the Corderos as well. But Sheriff, would you like to say a few words or anything with regards to this?
Well, good afternoon, all. I stand in honor, quite frankly, to stand for those who, quite frankly, cannot stand for themselves. It is quite challenging, not only here in Henry County, but across this land. Unfortunately, students go through difficult challenges and time frames during their time frames in school. And so like some of the programs that many that we face that we're dealing with here, which are very good for this county, but one of the ones we have here is S3, which is setting up students for success. As we're talking to them more and more, we get into the crux of the matter with respect to some of their concerns. We want to make sure that we are some of their left and right arm with respect to giving them direction and guidance to go to the next level of excellence with the support that they need in challenging time frames and seasons that we face across this nation, and particularly here in Henry County.
Thank you so much. If the board would, let's join them to take a photo. He's what? Oh, no. Ew. Next item on the agenda is Splash 6 timeline. Rocky?
Good evening, Chairman Bowman.
We're here to provide a timeline for SPLOST 6. So the first thing, we would like to have each district to have a member, as well as the chair, and also one member for the county manager. So there'll be a total of 7 members. And we hope to have, hopefully the commissioners and the chair and the county manager can provide us the names by November 7th for the board meeting. Again, the next board meeting, hopefully we have the committee set up, and during the months of November and December, staff will be working to produce projects for SPLOST 6. So what we have next is the upcoming district meetings. The first meeting will be held here at the Administration Building, January 9th, 2024. Next follow will be, I know it's kind of small to see it, but I'll mention it. District 1 will be at the Locust Grove Event Center on January 23rd. District 2 will be at the Fairview Rec Center, February 13th. District 3 will be, the meeting will be held at the Heritage Conference Room on February 27th. District 4, the meeting will be held at J.P. Mosley Rec Center, March 12th. District 5, the meeting will be held at Nash Farms, March 26th, and then we'll have our final meeting here at the Administration Building on April 9th. Total of 7 meetings will be held. Next slide is the OCGA procedures for the county to levy a special purpose local option sales tax. Following with a timeline of how we're going to get to start the collections on SPLOST 6. So first, January 3rd, we hope to have a notice, send a notice to the cities to join meeting with the county and the city. Following June 18th meeting, that will be the joint BOC meeting with the cities. July 16th will be the resolution approving SPLOST 6, project list, and the ballot language. November 5th of 2024, that will be the vote for SPLOST 6, and collections will start April 1st of 2025. In doing this collection, we'll keep collecting the 1% sales tax, and there will be no break. So it's not an additional sales tax, it's just a continuation of the current SPLOST 5. I'll take any questions.
Any questions from the board? Commissioner Thomas?
Riker, when do you plan to publish this timeline so that our citizens will know and those viewing will know?
Yes, good question, Commissioner. We'll be posted it on our county website, and we'll be on our SPLOST section of the website, county website, but also we'll be posting it as the meetings come up in the main part of the website, county website.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can we make sure that we get the postings on our social
Media as well. Yes, ma'am.
platforms as well?
Yes, sir.
And we may want to consider maybe doing a posting in the Henry Herald as well.
And another thing, Chair, what we'll do prior to the meetings, we have message boards, and we'll place those message boards a couple of weeks prior to the meeting on our roads, so citizens can see that as well.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. If we could have our county manager, Sherry Matthews, come forward.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the board. This is your consent agenda for Tuesday, October 17, 2023, 6:30 p.m. Under capital projects, we have a resolution of the Board of Commissioners awarding RFP number 24-04 to Croft and Associates in the amount of $293,150 for architectural design services for an EMS station to be located adjacent to the Heritage Senior Center utilizing capital improvement plan funds. Under the county clerk, we have a resolution naming our open records officer and alternate. We also have a resolution approving the 2024 BOC meetings. And then we have a resolution approving the holiday schedule for 2024. Under elections and registration, we have a resolution of the Board of Commissioners awarding RFP number 24-06 for delivery and pickup of elections equipment to Pick Up and Go Carrier of Kennesaw, Georgia, as a unit price agreement with no fixed quantities for 1 year with 2 mutually agreed upon annual renewals. Under the Emergency Management and Homeland Security Department, we have a resolution of the Board of Commissioners approving the acceptance of an award in the amount of $30,000, of which $1,810 is from in-kind local match share from the Georgia Emergency Management and Homeland Security Agency for the update of the Henry County Hazard Mitigation Plan. Under Human Resources, we have a resolution of the Board of Commissioners awarding RFP number 23-50 for executive search services as an annual contract to Baker Tilly U.S. LLP of Plano, Texas, as a unit price agreement with no fixed quantities for 1 year with 2 mutually agreed upon annual renewals. Under the Police Department, we have a resolution of the Board of Commissioners to accept a donation of 3-year-old Labrador Retriever from the Georgia World Congress Center Authority to the Henry County Police Department K-9 unit. We also have a resolution of the Board of Commissioners approving the acceptance of an award in the amount of $3,000 from the Georgia Emergency Management and Homeland Security Agency for the Henry County Police Department Explosive Ordnance Disposal K-9 program. We also have a resolution of the Board of Commissioners approving the acceptance of an award in the amount of $36,868 from the Bureau of Justice Assistance Fiscal Year 2023 Edward Byron Memorial Justice Assistance Grant Program local solicitation to the Henry County Police Department to provide officers with enhanced level ballistic resistant body armor and individual trauma kits that will save lives in the event of an active shooter incident. We also have a resolution of the Board of Commissioners to accept an award in the amount of $74,692 from the Governor's Office of Highway Safety for the Henry County Police Department Highway Enforcement of Aggressive Traffic, better known as our HEAT program. And then under T-SPLOS, we have a resolution of the Board of Commissioners approving the resurfacing of 3 additional roads, Ward Road, Daily Mill Road, and Fairview Road in District 3 and Old District 5, now New District 2, in the amount of $410,007.62 to the current resurfacing contract per resolution number 22-146, utilizing T-SPLOS funds. Madam Chair, this ends the consent agenda.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board? Commissioner Wilson.
Madam Chair, I'd like to take the T-SPLOSH resolution off the consent, move it to the regular agenda for discussion.
Move it to the regular agenda.
Ma'am?
I said, you said move it to the regular agenda?
Regular agenda.
Okay,
Yes,
all
ma'am.
right. That it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. Commissioner Thomas.
I would like clarification on the Human Resources letter A, exactly what that is. Could we please have Ms. Sagot or County Manager give us clarification what that is in reference to?
Shannon?
Good evening, Chair and members of the board. What you have before you is a contract for an executive search team. We accepted proposals. We received 4 in return. We were looking for an organization to assist us in the recruiting and receiving application and the vetting of applications for personnel in our leadership team. For example, with vacancies amongst directors or cluster leaders or other leadership positions identified by the county manager, she could utilize the contract with an executive search team to do a national search for such leadership positions. This is proposed as a one-year contract with 2 mutually agreed upon renewals. It is done as a per unit, cost per unit, so we would only pay when we utilize those services. There were 4 vendors that submitted proposals. An evaluation committee was formed, and all proposals were reviewed and scored. The Baker Tilly was our top scoring proposal.
Okay, so it's my understanding you're only using this service, so we'll have to pay for it if we use the services.
That is correct. We will only pay for it if we utilize the services. The executive search team would be considered for the harder-to-fill positions. And
Do we not
mostly
have-
your leadership positions, top
Do we not
leadership.
have anyone in Human Resources now that does that in recruitment, I thought?
Yes, ma'am. We do have staff. We've got a well-trained and informed department in human resources. However, their leadership positions, which we want to ensure that we are tapping into every viable source, not just looking regionally or within our local area or even within our state. The executive search team will make us more viable in national searches.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve consent agenda.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. No further discussion, all in favor? Motion carries. Since we moved the item, the T-Splosh item, to the regular agenda, can I have Rocky come forward and speak on this? That's what you requested, correct? Okay. Go ahead.
Oh.
We want you to explain
I'm sorry, Chair, what was the question?
the T-Splosh project regarding to adding the additional roads,
Oh, okay.
Ward Road, Daily Mill Road, and Fairview Road. Can you speak on that?
I can. So the reason we added these 3 additional roads, they're in very poor condition, and it was a safety issue on these roads. Daily Mill is going to be the approaches to the bridge out there. In the past, we have fixed those, but they keep failing. Since we have a contractor already on board, it's definitely cost-effective to go ahead on that route. Same thing goes with Fairview and Ward. They had some sections. This is mainly not paving the entire road. This is just patching. So there's certain areas that we had to patch to make it safer. Now, we probably need to do FDR, the entire roads on all 3 roads, but budget-wise, just for the safety issue, we wanted to patch those areas that were in very bad need to be replaced.
Any additional questions?
On here, it says the T-Splosh money was going to be used for this. Was the T-Splosh divided up into 5 districts, or is it coming all out of the same account?
So when the board approved the resolution for Blount Construction, it came from SPLOS 5, T-Splosh, and LMIG. So basically, all that together was compromised for this project, all the 84 roads that we have. Now, we have savings. We have not spent everything on every district. Certainly, District 4 and 5 has certain savings. For example, Patrick Henry. Originally, we were estimating to use FDR for the way of reclaiming the road, but it had enough asphalt, so we changed from FDR to just milling and resurfacing. So there was a significant savings amount on that. Same thing has happened on District 5. So we do have savings because we were able to change the method of paving.
So are there other savings for the other districts as well?
Yes. So I do have, I can go through them if you want to.
Well, if they're there, I'm assuming that you're going to bring some resolutions forward.
I will.
to
So
apply
what we'll
them
do,
to other roads in other districts as well.
correct. So once we complete this, which we're very close to the end of this program with, or this contract, we'll come back and we will have some additional savings, and we'll be coming back to the board to either add more roads or bid out a new contract. We do have, next board meeting in November, we're going to bring the LMIC 2024 list for approval of the commissioners, and thereafter we will be bidding out LMIC 23 and 24. Those will need to be bid out. So we could add the savings that we have currently on this contract towards the next program.
So on the selection of these 3 roads, did you do it because of the complaints on the roads? Did you do it because of the score on the road? How do you select these roads?
Both, Commissioner. The score was bad. We have received numerous complaints on the roads. On Fairview, we did resurface from Cook to 155, and we left the middle section thinking that since we're going to be widening both Fairview all the way through, we were hoping to be under construction on that one, but we're still a little bit ways on that, so it has deteriorated significantly. So that's why we did the patches on that one.
All right, well, thank you for explaining all that.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Rocky. I really appreciate that. We've had numerous conversations. Those roads, I know in District 2, have long overdue, so I appreciate that. We talked about others, so hopefully the next presentation that we, coming up, we'll have some more. But I just want District 2 residents to know that the conversations are being had, and we want to make sure that we're focused on our infrastructure for that area. So thank you for doing your due diligence as well.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. No further discussion. All in favor? Okay. You got that, Stephanie? Okay. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, planning and zoning. Comp Amendment 2304. Resolution by the Henry County Board of Commissioners to adopt the completed Henry County Comprehensive Plan 5-year update.
Chair, Vice Chair, board members, and citizens of Henry County. This evening, the Planning and Zoning staff, in conjunction with our lead consultant, Allison Smith Harris from TSW, is here to present the final draft of the Henry County 2045 Comprehensive Plan update for adoption. This has been a process about 10 months in the making and has included many hours of public engagement, analysis, policy discussion, and compromise. When county staff embarked on this endeavor, we determined that a simple, required 5-year update would not be in the best interest of the county. The current 2018 comprehensive plan is not conducive to recent development trends of the county and stifles flexibility. As such, we tasked TSW with doing a complete overhaul of our comp plan, flume map, and land use policies. Before Allison presents some of the more technical details of the comp plan and how we got here, staff would like to take a few moments to address some concerns presented by the community. A comprehensive plan is a roadmap that describes a community's long-range vision and how to achieve it over time. In Georgia, comprehensive plans typically have a 20-year outlook and are updated every 5 years. In simple terms, the comprehensive plan is a policy guide used to assist staff and the board in making land use decisions. They are required by the state of Georgia for a jurisdiction to retain its qualified local government status, which provides numerous opportunities for grant funding and support. The deadline for Henry County to adopt an updated comprehensive plan and maintain our qualified local government status is October 31st, 2023. Typically, within the comprehensive plan, the most utilized tool is the future land use map. The future land use map is a mapping tool within the comprehensive plan that is used in decision-making policies of land use planning. The adoption of the future land use map does not change the zoning designation of any property. And for a property to be rezoned, it must be submitted for consideration through a formal application process in which evaluation by staff is conducted using the comp plan and the future land use map, among other factors. Only the owner of a subject property or their representatives may apply for a rezoning and other zoning applications. Rezonings are heard by the Zoning Advisory Board and decided by the Board of Commissioners in a series of public hearings in which the Board of Commissioners can approve a rezoning with conditions or deny it outright. The future land use designation of a property is decided by a number of factors: current, short-term, and long-term infrastructure plans, surrounding development for consistency, what is already existing on the property, population density, access to service and amenities, and the future land use designation does not always match the current zoning, and many properties throughout the county never realize their flume designation potential. Staff has also received questions and concerns about the USDA Farm Loan Program in relation to the Comprehensive Plan and Future Land Use Map. Information concerning the USDA Farm Loan Regulations can be found in the USDA HB-1-3550 Direct Single-Family Housing Loans and Grants Field Office Handbook. Chapter 5.2 of this handbook quotes that a site considered for a USDA mortgage loan must be developed according to the development standards imposed by the state or local government. These standards are often contained in zoning ordinances, building codes, subdivision regulations, and/or construction standards. This means that properties within the USDA eligibility area must follow local zoning conditions and building codes. However, local jurisdictions have no say in what that eligibility area is. The USDA creates and maintains their own USDA farm loan eligibility maps, and eligibility for the USDA farm loan program is based on address and proximity to eligibility area. Local policies such as the future land use and zoning designation have no effect on its eligibility. Current subdivisions such as Crystal Lake, Winter Creek, Traditions, Telfair, Hawthorne Ridge, and Newberry are still eligible for USDA farm loan consideration, even though the current flume is medium-density residential in the 2018 plan. This slide shows a capture of the USDA eligibility map. Areas in red are not eligible for a USDA-backed loan. All properties south of Jonesboro Road, west of Mill Road, and outside of the Clayton County and Lovejoy jurisdiction are eligible for USDA loans, no matter the local future land use designation. Finally, it should be noted that as this is a complete rehaul of the comprehensive plan, there are new terms, new land use designations, new density limitations for those land use designations, new policies including green space preservation, transportation connectivity, economic development, housing strategies, and other much-needed updates and goals. Based on character areas, surrounding development, and infrastructure, some properties received increased density limitations and others saw a decrease. Staff is confident that this plan will assist us in spurring smart growth and bettering Henry County as a whole. And without further ado, I'd like to invite Allison Stewart Harris for further detail to give us some of those more technical aspects of the plan.
Thank you.
There you go. Kansas is going to pull it up for you. Good presentation.
Good evening, I'm Allison Stewart Harris. Thank you so much for having me here this evening. I'm so pleased to be here to request adoption of your comprehensive plan update. What I'd like to do today is piggyback on Kamal's presentation just now and really talk about three different things. I'd like to talk about the state and ARC review of your comprehensive plan update. I'd like to talk about some minor adjustments that have been made to your future land use map. And finally, I would like to formally request the Board of Commissioners' adoption of the plan. So as a reminder, we have done a complete overhaul of your 2018 plan. Again, this is the county's guide for development decision-making over the next 5 years. Kamal mentioned that it could be up to a 20-year time horizon, but these plans are updated every 5 years. This plan was based off of a mixture of technical analysis and community input. I'm going to reemphasize, this plan does not change anybody's zoning. This is not a zoning ordinance. This is a guide for decision-making. I also want to note that we had a great public engagement process. We do these plans all over the region, and I would say we had about 5 times the participation here in Henry County that we typically see, so I want to thank each and every member of the Henry County community that came out and participated. Like Kamal mentioned, this plan has been about 10 months in the making. We started back in March. We've had a number of public hearings, public workshops, online surveys. We've really done our best to reach out into the community and get a lot of different input. But we are now at the finish line. Like Kamal mentioned, your deadline to adopt your comprehensive plan is October 31st. So if you want to maintain your quality local government status, your qualified local government status, you would need to have your update adopted in the next 2 weeks. We presented that draft document to you back in August, and we then submitted it the next day to the Atlanta Regional Commission and the Georgia Department of Community Affairs. Their comment period closed on September 12th. In the meantime, the plan has been online and available to the community since August. I do want to share a little bit about the comments that we received from the state. Very minor. The state asked a couple of questions about your community work program. There were some minor advisory comments from the ARC about parks and the South River, and there were no comments from your neighbors. I do want to talk a little bit about your future land use map. Again, Kamal mentioned this, but this map really only comes into play if a property owner wants to change their zoning. What happened is if a property owner applies for a change in the zoning, county staff takes a look at what that change is, compares it to the future land use map, and considers that along with a number of other factors in their recommendation for you all to make a decision. Do you want to share those updated land uses with you all? These have not changed since August. We have added some more to what you had in your 2018 plan, and this is really to reflect a little bit more nuance, what you've seen in your real estate market, particularly around housing. We have heard some concerns. People say, oh my gosh, that high-density mixed use, that is way too dense. That is not who Henry County is. I do want to point out, though, that when you look at your future land use map, that is 2% of your map. The vast, vast, vast majority of your future land use map is fairly low density. Another thing that we did with your comprehensive plan update is we provided a lot more guidance for you all, really in 2 ways. First, we took every single future land use and really dug into details and provided a lot of information about what each of these things really is. We've also built in a lot of flexibility into the system. There are 6 different infrastructure and development areas, and within those areas, there's sort of a list of appropriate land uses, maybe appropriate and not appropriate, and this provides a much more consistent, transparent guide. This also means that the exact land use that is shown on the future land use map, that's just one of those options that's in the appropriate category. So some of the minor changes that have been made to your future land use map since August include corrections to city boundaries to reflect recent annexations that just hadn't gotten updated in GIS. We had a few corrections to some school board properties to be shown as public institutional. We had the request from Commissioner Lewis at the last meeting that we've gone ahead and made. We've had some minor modifications in District 1. I want to go ahead and just very quickly show what that future land use map looks like by district. You can see the guide over here on the right. In general, that lighter the color, the lower the density. So we've got a lot of rural residential here in District 1, which is very low density. District 2, so this is up by Panola Mountain. We've got a mix of a lot of low density suburban, rural residential, low density mixed use. District 3, again, you see a lot of rural residential, low-density suburban, a little bit more density towards McDonough. District 4 is where you have that higher density concentration. That's that 2% I was mentioning earlier with that high-density mixed use, but again, tapering up to less density as you go north. And in District 5, this was that change that you had requested last time, Commissioner Lewis. We've made that change. A lot of this is medium-density suburban, and we are reflecting the low-density mixed use for the project that's already in the works. So again, to maintain your quality local governments, or your qualified local government status, you must have an adopted plan by October 31st, 2023. The state does not grant extensions except for very extreme situations like a hurricane or a tornado comes. A lapse in your status puts the ability to pursue grants like CDBG, redevelopment funds, that puts that in jeopardy, so you really don't want to lose that. I also want to remind you all that this is a living document. These can be amended. You are not shackled to this plan for the next 5 years. You can make amendments, so as you go through this plan, if there are things that need to get changed, you can make that change. You don't have to wait for 5 years. So with that, I would like to request that the Board of Commissioners adopts the Henry County Comprehensive Plan 2045. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Are there any questions from the board?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there was a change made very recently to District 2 on Fairview Road. So we noticed that Fairview Road, we've really been trying to spur some economic development, some commercial uses on Fairview. Originally, this area that's Rowan here. So Rowan and East Atlanta here. So this area was looked at as low density. We've since changed it to low density mixed use so that we can spur some more commercial development here on Fairview. People have been asking for commercial on Fairview for a long time, so we wanted to make sure that that was fixed for this plan. Before we move into questions and public comment, I will say that if there are any changes that need to be made to this map, we can make those changes, right? We have recordings. Staff is going to write down any changes that need to be made. I think this is a good plan, and I think that the plan, while it's still a moving target, again, we're not shackled to it. So if there are changes that need to be made tonight, we will record them and make them change, but we have to get this thing adopted. So I've said my piece. Thank you.
Madam Chair. Well, thank you, Kamal, because I just wanted to point out for District 2 that you definitely said we could make the amendments. However, the people have spoken and they've stated what they wanted for that community. So that's why we have town halls, and we want to make sure that everyone attends. This is your community, so that way your voice can be heard. And the good thing is we can always make the amendments to that. Fairview is growing, and we want to continue. I provided my vision then at the town hall. So, but again, I need all the citizens to be in tune to your community and voice what you would like to see for your community in District 2. Kamal, I thank you so much for explaining it, because I know some information had went out and people were confused. And I also will follow up with a brief town hall after this meeting for those to have an understanding as well. So we'll bring it to the people as well. But again, thank you for doing your due diligence to bring that to the people so they'll understand it better.
Okay, so this item was not supposed to be listed as a public hearing. Is that correct, County Attorney?
That's correct. It's not, a public hearing is not required for the adoption.
Okay, so, but because the county had already met the requirements, but it was noticed as a public hearing. So what I will do, I know that it was some people from District 5. Is Tina, some people here. So what I will do is I will allow 10 minutes for persons wishing to address the board on this case can come forward now, and it will be a collective 10 minutes, and that will be it. Tina, are you coming forward?
I am. So that they can give you these documents that we...
Stephanie, do you need these boxes?
Okay, well, anyone can come forward. It's a collective of 10 minutes. That's all we're allowing, because this was not supposed to be advertised as a public hearing.
I don't know. 4 that have concerns that need to be echoed. Did anybody here come from District 4?
Okay.
You can be a part of this presentation if you like, ma'am. Let me hear your comments.
Yeah, I think they're ready. You guys are ready?
Okay.
So just please remember,
It's gonna be 10 minutes total, so.
One batch for each commissioner. Please
so
do those
she
first.
needs to have her 3 minutes. You all can have your 7 minutes. Madam?
Wait till they get it.
Are you here for District 4, madam? Are you with that group, madam? Okay, well, you're welcome to come to the mic. Your name, please.
Okay, hold up. Where's Stephanie? I need Stephanie to start the timer. And it's gonna be 10 minutes. When the 10 minutes run off, that's it.
I don't even need 3 minutes.
My name's Ann Field.
Ma'am, you need to wait until she starts the clock,
Okay, I'm sorry.
okay? Okay, go ahead.
My name is Ann Fields. My address is 329 Chase Marion Way. I wanted to talk about the properties on Holloway. You guys heard that case in June, and it is now a dark blue on this map. That is why I'm standing here. That is my concern. Ms. Thomas, you did state, and the letter that came with the resolution ordinance 23164, was Henry County wished to see more single-family housing developed along that Patrick Henry Parkway that would be in line with our lot sizes. So I just wanted you to hear my voice. I just spent an exorbitant amount of money on this home and just moved here. And they're talking 130 buildings on that 14 acres. You guys had voted no to annex that land, but that case is in front of Stockbridge. And with that zoning, it would lean to it. So that is the only concern I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Warren Tillery. I'm a lawyer at Smith Welch. My address is 2200 Keys Ferry Court. I'm actually here on behalf of 5 property owners. That's going to be Maine Carter Oil. The main reason for us submitting that is because there's the 2 items that were tabled. To the extent this plan would change the requirements for their pending zoning, that gets into a little bit of, whether they've already got this too far down the track. The other one is in Commissioner Wilson's district. It's Bradford, and it's a large acre tract of which there's already a lot of development. The main concern here is that this is going to somehow hurt his ability to seek rezonings. The 3 that I want to spend the bulk of my time talking about, though, are Carol and Richard Fletcher and Mike Shamley. And their properties are at Fairview Road and Anvil Block Road. It's right at that intersection where the curve goes. And we've filed letters memorializing all of our legal objections and theories and stuff with the clerk already, so that's before you. I won't kind of re-go into that. But a couple of points that I do want to make is that while the speakers before have talked about this not changing zoning, it's not quite true. It does travel separately, but your zoning ordinance requires consistency with the comp plan. That's the first criteria, and that criteria is the one that takes priority. So with respect to the Fletchers and the Shamleys property, I want to make a couple of points here. The first is that there's been an amendment that was just shown to you all that includes this mixed-use development in that district, but it doesn't quite get to their property. The reason that is a problem is because these properties have been tortured by a series of condemnations from 2013 and again in 2017. The roadway is getting bigger, and what I hear when I come to these things is we don't want to bring in additional density and then have, no infrastructure to support it. But these properties have literally given parts of it to the county for purposes of upgrading that infrastructure, to the point where the only thing that their highest and best use is left with is something more akin to what's under the current future land use map, not what is going to be in this new future land use map. And so that's really the gripe here. It results in going from a mixed-use type thing, which we heard from the previous speaker said that is what was wanted in that area, and they're willing, ready, and able to start moving that direction and that development, to this low-density suburban residential classification that has such a low number of units per acre that it's not going to be able to be supportable for the property that they have left to be able to be used and put into that development. And what our concern here is that we're going to then, when we come back before you for a rezoning, get told, well, the future land use map doesn't support it. So for that reason, we would actually ask that an additional amendment be made, the parcel numbers are in front of you already, to include that in the section that's carved out as being mixed use already in the future land use map draft that you have. So with that, my clients would reserve all rights, and I'll let these other good people address their concerns. Thank you.
All right. We're running out of time. Everybody that's here with Conserve Henry, will you please stand up because we're not going to be able to speak? Good evening, Commissioners. Over 1,700 folks have signed a petition, and we also just received another 154 signatures, encouraging you to vote no and keep our current land use map intact. This land use map only benefits Tim Jones, Gerald Hudgens, and Murphy Talmadge's family, who is now operating as GeoSam Capital Atlanta, purple on that land use map over there, and he just sold his home for $15.3 million to Henry County Land Company. Nothing whatsoever required by the 60 citizens or so attended the TSW public hearings were even included on this map. We have participated for years in previous plannings that included planners from the Georgia Department of Community Affairs, and never have citizens just been asked to update a blank heat map, as TSW has asked us to do, which greatly insulted many citizens in our ability to participate, because nowhere during any of the public hearings was the current future land use map used to, nor was the water and sewer map from the Henry County Water Authority, no wet map showing our streams, lakes, ponds, creeks, wetlands, etc. No transportation map showing our major and minor roads in Henry County, and no green map showing our conservation and preservation, parks, recreation, and healthy alternatives, which are the initiatives we wanted for the future. We are filing complaints with the Atlanta Regional Commission for determination of how a citizen representative for ARC, in our case, William Murphy Talmadge, can be appointed to be our citizen's voice when he is a lobbyist who does not live in Henry County or Rockdale County, but has a huge financial interest in the future land use map being changed. The most significant area to be impacted is District 5, formerly District 2, Commissioner D. Clemens, who resigned under a huge cloud of ethics violations that is still under review, primarily due to her unethical relationship with Tim Jones and the Talmadges. We are also filing complaints with the newly formed Henry County Board of Ethics and the Georgia State Ethics Commission on Chairwoman Carlotta Harrell for not filing the required CCDR reports for the past 3 years, leaving citizens with no way to follow the money or understand why a non-citizen of Henry County, William Murphy Talmadge, was appointed to represent the citizens on the Atlanta Regional Commission Board. We have several folks that we will call the collaborative forum because of their close ties to convicted felon, the Reverend Mitzi Bickers. And I'm going to pause here because I'm delivering a copy of this to each one of you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for opening up this public hearing. Whenever I should say the plan is more than a guide. Whenever the staff accepts an application from a person, the first thing they do, they compare the application to the land use plan. And also, when the county is sued, usually it's over the land use plan, and the suit, the guide is no longer a guide, it becomes law. And then some people buy property based on the land use plan, and if the plan is amended quickly or very often and does not go against if it goes against the purchaser's original reason for buying the property, well, he just lost his investment. And I ask that you control the number of times the land use plan can be amended. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Brooke Winfrey, District 5 resident. Thank you for having us again tonight. I'll try to make this quick. So basically, like Sina was saying, we did a Conserve Henry petition. We put it online, got a ton of signatures. We really want to conserve our green space at the end of the day. District 5 is overloaded. It's completely like everything, a lot is changing to high density and medium density when it was like low density. So it just, we feel on top of each other in District 5. And until the roads are built out, we're just shooting ourselves in the foot. We got to slow things down. We got to. Until the roads catch up, we got to slow it down. I mean, they all know. Thank you.
Joshua Eckhoff, how y'all doing? 341 Laura Lane. Also, I noticed there's none of these. Y'all don't never do no land bridges or tunnels, you know? Land bridges. Our wildlife are being killed, run over, our cars are being destroyed, we're sitting in traffic all day, every day. You know, come on now. There's nothing for green space farmers, there's nothing that we want. Keep it coming.
Good evening. I'm Richard Fletcher. I own property at Fairview and Anvil Block. It's currently mixed use. I'd really request that you maintain that because I invest that money, that's my investment for my retirement, and we have lost prospective developers because of this discussion. Thank you very much.
So I'd like to call for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Can I get a second? Oh, did you have something? Oh, can I get a second? Okay, now you all have to be respectful. Okay? Then you don't yell out in the meeting, please. I've given you an opportunity to come up and speak, so please don't yell in the meeting. Toussaint.
Before we continue, are there any changes that y'all would like to make to the flume? We can record them now and make those changes reflected in the signed document. I know there was some concerns about Fairview Road and Anvil Block. If we'd like to make that low-density mixed use all the way through, we can do that.
So, Madam Chair, just point of order, there is a motion on the floor. If there was not a second, we need to kill that motion and then open it up for comments from staff, please. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Okay, so there were concerns about Anvil Block and Fairview. Staff, if it's the pleasure of the board, we can make that corridor all the way low-density mixed use. We know exactly what they're asking for. That's not a problem. So that's District 2. Were there any concerns from any other district? 5. District 5.
I'm comfortable with the current map.
Okay.
With the current map or what they?
With the current map.
Or what was presented?
The one
No, the
concern,
one that is the 2018 map.
Okay, well,
the one concern
Yes, ma'am.
before is land that was proposed to be annexed by the city of Stockbridge. I did vote against that. I'm hoping to stand as being voted against, and this board supported voting against that. So we're at the point to wait to see if Stockbridge is going to try to fight us for that space, ma'am. But at this point in time, we have voted against that proposed development and that density in that area, okay?
Okay, so we either pass this, or we don't pass it, and we lose our funding. So
I guess I'll go ahead and say, what I have issue is with having the meeting right now and then kind of putting us against the wall saying that we have to adopt this by October 31st. If we had had this previously, then that would have given us time to change.
Yes, sir.
But having us, I don't.
Hearings.
I got it, but I don't like us being painted in a corner to where we have to adopt, or it's like an either or. I think the citizens have spoken, and I know especially the citizens in my district, District 5, have spoken, and I appreciate that they are very active and engaged. They are my neighbors, so I stand with my neighbors. So.
You go ahead.
I have spoken to some, but for as the gentleman that came up, that was the discussion that we had. So I thank you for coming up, expressing that, but that was something that we had already discussed when I said we could amend. That was definitely going to take place by staff anyway, so I just want to assure you that was what staff had discussed already. But thank you for coming up to bring your concern. Yes.
Mr. Fletcher? Was that Mr. Fletcher?
Yeah, that's why I was
Okay.
looking at it. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Johnny?
One area that needs to be tweaked, I think it kind of overlooked, when you go down Bill Garner Parkway, go up Bill Garner Parkway to the Brad Bradford property, there's sewer availability there. I think his concern is to go medium density, not low density. Is that, but there is sewer availability on that property, so I think that's just a minor tweak.
Which property was that, Commissioner Wilson?
It'll be the one, it's, the Brad Bradford is, if you go up between 75 and 155 on Bill Garner Parkway, there's a small area that's medium density, but he owns everything around that has sewer available. And
Can
that's just
you
a
see my
matter-
cursor?
So you got to go on up to Kingston subdivision, go to Bill Garner Parkway.
Let's zoom in a little better.
Yeah, it's close to Mallard's Landing. He was close.
All right, this is 155 here.
Yeah, so you look,
Bill Gardner.
you go past, now see, if you go up, little area, that subdivision, I believe, is medium density.
Here?
No, come on down, go south. That's 155. You're gonna have to go back down toward Locust Grove I-75. Right now, see that right there?
Right here?
I believe that's a medium density, but that area right in there, he owns that property and all the sewers is available around that.
So you want to make this
So, but everything around that, I think.
Is low density.
I think the request was medium density. Is that correct, sir? You said you represented him? That was his request, is for that to be medium density when he has sewer available on his property?
Yeah, his request to be treated similarly to Kingston development, it's in that same area.
Yeah. So, but he has sewer available, correct? I think so. I think he does. But I'll have a conversation, and we can tweak that later.
Yes, sir. So we have another option. There's still some things to work out with the map. We can table this now and have a special call meeting before October 31st. Would y'all like to do?
We're going to vote on this tonight. So, Commissioner Wilson, what area is it that you need to have changed on the map?
We just got one area, District 1.
Yeah.
But when I vote tonight, I'm not voting just on District 1, I'm voting for the whole county. We have a lot of people out here.
I understand that, but will you let me, I'm going to ask each district. So I'm just asking you, are you okay with your map? That's what I'm
Yeah, we made a
asking.
number of changes over the weeks, but we kind of overlooked this little spot right here. But that's,
Okay.
we can fix that.
Okay.
That's an easy fix.
Okay, all right. Commissioner Robinson.
Yes, thank you. As I stated earlier, we had already put in the, foreseen for that development, Mr. Fletcher, and for the gentleman that came up anyway. So thank you for coming, but I'm okay with what they have spoken, and we're making it happen, okay?
District 3.
I want to tell staff, thank you. District 3 did their homework ahead of time, and we got ours taken care of. Thank you.
District 2, 5. What are you?
District 5.
5. I mean, these districts have changed. District 5.
No, I think I already stated
So
that
you want to leave your map the same?
I want to leave my map the
Okay,
same.
all right. District 4.
District 4 is fine, and I think I've answered my constituent question, and we will be following that, making sure as much as we can that that remains the way it is.
So this is my proposal, County Manager. Can we adopt the comprehensive plan as each district has stated what they want, leaving District 5 as is? So in other words, Commissioner Wilson has said what he needed for his district. So has every commissioner up here. He wants to leave his district as is.
He just wanted to.
So can we adopt the map tonight, or the plan, with what each commissioner has stated?
So the motion would be you all would approve the comprehensive plan as presented by staff with the exception of no land use map changes to District 5. Correct. If I understand correctly. That would be the motion.
And the amended ones
And
that...
with any amended changes as
that-
discussed
As
tonight.
discussed tonight.
Now, for the clerk, we're going to need to make sure that she's able to capture what those changes are. So we need to be able to spell that out.
So Commissioner Wilson, can you spell yours out?
So before Commissioner Wilson starts, I want to make sure that we are being very specific to land use and not discussing future rezonings of property, because that could be considered contract zoning. So if there's an area of the county that you believe the land use designation is not appropriate, then that is the manner in which you need to state it. Not based on an individual property owner, not based on whether sewer is available, because part of the comprehensive land use map process included the Henry County Water Authority. And so they were a part of this process. They identified future water and sewer lines. And so I want the board to just understand what you all are acting on tonight is a future land use map. Any individual that wants to develop their property has got to come back before this board and rezone it. And so I caution against us speaking specifically to a landowner. You all need to look at it globally and whether that land use would be appropriate today, in 10 years, or 15 years from now. So I want to caution the board against that, because we don't want it to appear that we're conducting zonings tonight.
So Commissioner Wilson, globally speaking.
So my concern, Kevin, you said leave yours like it is, but since that map was put together, your district has changed. So they will have to go back and look where the land use was in District 4 and District 5.
In District 1.
District 2.
Yeah.
And then they'll have to combine all, because I think you, in District 1, because you took over some of the District 1 as well.
That's right.
So they'll have to go back and
That's
look
fine.
at how they put that together back in 2018, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
16?
There's
still a record of it. I don't think it'll take long to do that.
So it'll be three different.
There's another option for
There'll be
District 5.
three different districts involved in that.
So I know a lot of...
I know what he's saying.
Come on.
I have a worker, it's going to be hard to keep the 2018 map because so much verbiage has changed, but I have an idea, I'm gonna float it by you. So I know a lot of the concern in District 5 was Mill Road area. What we could do is, we could take this whole chunk of the south of Mill Road in your district and just make it all low-density residential.
Well, if you're going to do that, then you also need to go across Mill Road on the east side of Mill Road and make that low-density mixed use, because I don't want that high-density mixed use.
Here?
No, this. So when you go from Mount Carmel down Mill to 81.
Yes,
You
sir.
see all that blue?
Yep. Now,
Now, go down to the right. There you go.
all this.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, we can make that. If you'd like to see everything down here, low density, that would make the plan cleanest. Yes, sir.
I'm good with that.
All right.
I was just trying to see what Commissioner Wilson had to say.
Point being was, if you go back to where it was going to affect my district. But nothing changed in my district anyway, down in Hampton area, so I was good. I was just.
Okay.
Yes, I'm good.
Can you, for District 2, can you go back to the map? And then I need for you to explain, again, what we're doing.
Okay, so District 2's map looks like this currently. We would take the frontage, properties that front Fairview Road, all the way to the county line and make it this low-density mixed use, which is really what it is now.
Okay. All right.
And every commissioner will get a chance to look at this map before the chair signs it.
Madam Chair,
Ma'am.
I know you indicated that you wanted to take action on this tonight. I have grave concerns with the method of us just making changes to a map that has gone through multiple town hall meetings. If there are concerns by the board, then what we will need to do is reach out to the Department of Community Affairs, see if they will grant an extension, and open it up for another meeting, because what we're doing today is not the process. That's not what we do. And I understand constituents are here, you all want to hear from them, but this future land use map, this is not the first day that it's been presented. There have been meetings, there have been town hall meetings, I think we've even had virtual options. And so if there are concerns by the board in terms of what's on this map, I implore you to have some conversations and let's try to get it right, because this is not the process. This is not what we should be doing on a map of this magnitude. It's a comprehensive plan. This is going to tell us what our county is going to look like in the next 10, 15, 20 years. And to just arbitrarily make changes to it without all of the layers that went into it. You realize this process included not only the citizens, but there were multiple agencies, the Board of Education, the Water Authority, the Department of Public Health, septic issues. I mean, there are a lot of layers that go into whether development can occur. And out of respect for the commissioners that want to make those changes, let's just take a moment, pause, reconvene if that's the wishes of the board. And if we need to try to do a virtual meeting in the next couple of days, open it up to the community, we can do that. But I will tell you, we have 240,000 residents. There are a room full of individuals here tonight. There are some that participated in the process, that came out, made comments, and so in fairness to those that came at the original process, we need to just make sure that we're keeping our process clean and in the manner in which we said that we were going to do it. And I'm just not comfortable with us making changes tonight. We need to go back to the drawing board. We can do that. Yes, it does impact our qualified local government status, but I think we reach out and we just ask the question. If they tell us, hey, look, we won't grant the extension, at this point, that's what it will have to be until you all feel comfortable with it. But I don't think that there's a degree of comfort tonight in making changes to the map. And I'll be quite honest with you, I'm not sure that staff is clear in terms of going back to a 2018 map versus a 2023 map. We need to get it right because we've got to perfect the record and we've got to make sure that we have a good document in hand. So Madam Chair, I respectfully ask that you just afford us an opportunity to reconvene and make headway with the commissioners in terms of getting this done. Today is the 17th. I think we can get it done. I think the staff can reach out to the commissioners and we can see what needs to be done. But I do not like us arbitrarily, and maybe arbitrarily is not the right word, but just making changes this late in the process.
Okay, so let's set it for October 31st, 9 a.m.
No, October 31st.
Before that, I don't know if BCA is an occupancy actually giving session. So
Okay.
we probably need to have a special, probably have to have a special set meeting prior to the
31st.
Isn't it October 31st? 31st is when it's due. So could we meet on the 30th? That's a Monday. And then we will have to just hand deliver the document to the Department of Community Affairs.
on the 30th or whatever.
Does that work?
October 30th.
To the 31st.
Stephanie, are you getting, you got this? This is going to be tabled to October 30th, special call meeting, 9 a.m.
So Commissioners, the staff will reach out to each of you all tomorrow to schedule either a virtual or in-person meeting with you all so that we can get this finalized. Tomorrow is Wednesday. We should have our meetings with you all by the close of business Friday. We'll reach out to TSW to make all updates by next Monday. And then somewhere later in the week, we'll try to get something published for the public. So, Madam Chair, we need a motion to table this item until October 30th at a special call meeting of the board.
D. Okay. Motion second, all in favor? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is AP-23-05. Kenta? If you all could leave quietly, we are still in a meeting. Thank you. Go ahead, Kenta.
Good evening, Chair, Commissioners, and citizens of Henry County. The applicant has submitted an appeal to the Zoning Advisory Board decision of a denial of a variance request for property located at 90 Kimball Farm Drive. That property is shown here on the aerial maps. The property is zoned RA Residential Agricultural and is located within the Kimball Farms Creek subdivision. This is the site plan that was submitted to the applicant, by the applicant. The accessory structure in question is shown on the southwest corner of the lot. The Zoning Advisory Board on July 20th, 2023, denied the variance request VR 2311, and the appeal application was received by staff on July 26th, 2023. The denied variance request was, again, for this property at 90 Kimball Farm Drive, and was for relief from Chapter 7, Section 70201 of the ULDC regarding accessory structures. The request itself was to reduce the minimum side yard setback requirement for accessory structures from 10 feet to 5.75 feet, as well as to increase the maximum size for an accessory structure from 50% of the heated floor space of the home to 65%, of the heated floor space of the home. So the ULDC would allow for, as code, an accessory structure to be no more, given the home size of the home, no more than 954 square feet. The proposed structure is 1,250 square feet. The applicant had begun work on the accessory structure before receiving permits. A land disturbance permit was issued after the fact on November 2nd, 2022. A building permit was denied due to aforementioned concerns and the need for a variance. The staff recommends that the Board of Commissioners complete the appeal proceedings by affirming the administrative decision and determination of the Zoning Advisory Board. Thank you, and I'd be happy to take any questions you might have.
Okay, this is a public hearing. Persons wishing to come and speak in favor of the request, including the applicant, will have a collective total of 10 minutes. Is the applicant here? Is the applicant here? Okay, please come forward. State your name and address.
Good evening. I'm going to be his translator.
Okay, so can you pull the mic down so we can hear what you're saying?
Diga su nombre y la dirección.
My name is Carlos. Mi address is 90 Kimber Frank. My código es 3248. Loco, bro.
Okay, you're here to speak in favor, so you're going to speak?
Yes, he just basically wants to know if he's going to be approved to finish the construction that he's doing right now, because everything is going rotten, because so much rain and so much has happened to it that he just want to know if he's going to be able to continue, or you guys going to approve it, or what's going to happen.
We won't know until we vote, so, I mean, make your case. You need to make your case, you need to say why.
Pero, ¿por qué que la quiere hacer? ¿Qué es lo que quiere?
Hello. My name is Milton Alvarez. I live in 190 Nobility Lane, McDonough, Georgia. And like I said before, he started building, well, he bought the house, and the owner of the house told him that he can build a storage building without a permit. But he don't know the size, and he don't know all that, the limit, he don't know all that. And now he want to know how he can get that permit, or he can move the building a little bit, or he need to know, he want to know how to proceed with the building, with the storage building. And we got some signs of the neighbors, they approving, they saying they okay with that.
And the reason why he needs the building is because he works in construction. He do got a lot of machine, a lot of equipment that he's had to storage in the storage room, and he don't have space in the house to put it in. That's the reason why he need it, to build the storage that he's building right now, because of the need of all his equipment that he got.
Okay. Is that it? Is that it? That's it, okay, all right. Because this is a public hearing, also, those that are here to speak in opposition of the request also has 10 minutes. Is there anyone here to speak in opposition? Okay, all right. Does the board have any additional questions? Commissioner Wilson?
When was this building, when was it constructed? How has it been sitting there?
It's I believe in December, it's going to be 2 years since he started that.
So, did you go through any type of permitting process at all?
¿Usted acoge algún proceso para hacer eso?
Land disturbance permit, any type of permit at all?
No, he did not get any permit because when he purchased the house, he was misinformed that he didn't need a permit, that he didn't need anything. That's what the lady that sold the house to him told him, and he wasn't aware that he needed a permit. So he started doing this construction, and then later on, he found out that he really needed one.
So you tell me the real estate agent told him that?
No, the owner, the lady that
Oh,
he
the
bought the
owner.
house from. So,
Okay.
he wasn't aware of the process and
So
everything like
at any
that.
time, did any neighbor come up and say, there, you have to have a permit to build a building that size?
¿En algún tiempo vino algún?
I made him aware of it, and it was probably a week later that the county showed up. And he was actually,
After the building was up, right?
correct, as it was still in the process. But he was actually in Alabama doing work at the time, so he wasn't able to get the permit before they came out. But he was actually, was notified of it and was going to go and get it.
So do you live next door?
I live directly across the street.
Is anybody here that lives next door? Because he looks like he is 5.5 feet from the property line.
That is the neighbor, David, across the street.
Right.
And he was going to try to make it, but he couldn't.
Commissioner, the owner has just mentioned that he's got some firms, looks like about 11 homeowners nearby his house that are okay with it.
So there's two problems. Well, there's several problems. We don't have permits. Number two, it's built too close to the property line. Number three, the structure's too big. So you have to, I'm not sure how you're going to solve the structure too big thing, because we have an ordinance in place that's 50% of the heated area of residence. And this one is 65% bigger. I've rode by there, I've seen the structure. It does look like one of the houses in the subdivision. It's a pretty big structure. So, and the other one is too close to the property line. Now, they have administrative easements, but them are like at 10%, is that correct?
I'm so sorry, could you repeat that question?
Your easement, you can do an administrative easement at 10%, but other than that, that's about all you can do.
That's correct.
But you're at 5 feet, you're a little less than 5 feet.
No, about halfway.
Yeah, so you would have to buy some property from your next door neighbor, like a couple of feet. Then you would have to reduce the size of the building.
Is there a possibility to move that back wall off the property line 5 feet, which will reduce the size and gain the 10 feet needed?
I'm gonna let him speak to that.
Good evening, Chair, distinguished Board of Commissioners. My suggestion would be, we don't want to impact the desire to create and use a storage building on this site. So we would actually suggest to be able to still have this building, pour a new footer further away from the property line, reframe the building, meet the 50% requirement, and at that point, we're not only complying with zoning setbacks, we're also complying with the 50% rule. And that way, this gentleman is still able to construct the building he wants.
So if the roof structure, is it trusses or is there a frame roof?
Trusses.
Okay. I got a question for you, Brett.
Yes, sir.
So if we went in there and took the wall closest to the property line, moved that wall, left the slab, moved the wall, but is the slab in place, is that still part of the structure?
The slab, in my opinion, we would consider it like a patio at that point. It would not be an integral part of the structure.
So is it possible to take that wall closest to the property line, support the trusses, bring that wall in on the recommended amount that they're going to tell you how far to bring it in, then that would reduce the size of your structure as well? Is that possible?
Yes, it is.
Can you work with them and see how you can make that work, and that way they can get the permits to get the building where it is, and they'll be off the property line as well?
I certainly
That way you
can.
don't have to pour any concrete, just pull your wall in,
Right. We would have two options. They can pull the wall in. At that point, we're not violating anything from a zoning setback or fire separation distance, but we would also have the option where they could pour some more concrete and still meet the 50% requirement. It would just be closer to their house, but further away from the further setback, but they would have those two options.
so you got some options I think they could work with. If you can work that out, I think we could keep you from tearing anything down or buying any extra property. So you can work with them for that, and they're willing to do that?
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
We still need to vote on the variance, then, correct?
Yes, if that is the case, I would recommend proceeding with staff's recommendation to adhere to the zoning advisory board's denial of that variance, and from there, we'll work with the applicant to move that wall back.
Yeah, once he does that, the variance is out of the picture. right?
Exactly.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, yes.
Is that good?
And Commissioner Wilson, can we put a time frame on this? So that we aren't a year out and we're still talking about this. So let's say 45 days, 60 days, so that they'll follow up with Brett, Mr. Haynes, in his office. But I just don't want this to linger. So if we can just, if you don't mind putting some time frame on it. No, I'm saying getting once you deny it, what you're saying is that Brett's going to work with him. I don't want the structure to remain there over 3 or 4 months. So they need to get with Brett within the next so many days and then have a plan forward to get this building reconstructed.
Okay, can y'all do this in 45 days, getting your site plan and getting the building plan, a new one, and submit it? And go and get all your permits, go and get them submitted as well? Can you do this in 45 days?
Yes,
So
you can.
staff is saying 60 days. Let's give them 60.
60 days?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, 60 days.
All
Get
right.
permits, plan review, and all that stuff. So 60 days from today,
All right,
please.
so 60 days, all right. I'm good with 60 days.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
So, can I get a motion to deny the variance?
So I'll make a motion to deny the variance, and that's all it needs to be in the motion, correct?
Right.
Okay, perfect.
Got a motion and a second. No further discussion, all in favor? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is RZ-23-10, public hearing, Sunrise Builders, Inc. Request a rezoning from RA to R2. Come on, or who's doing this? No? Wait a minute, I'm sorry, who, okay, I'm sorry. RZ-23-06.
Good evening.
Latson International Consulting? Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
go ahead.
Good evening once again. The item before you is for property located at 3860 North Henry Boulevard. The request before you is to rezone the property from RA Residential Agricultural to O&I Office Institutional. This is the subject property shown in your exhibit books and overhead projection. Once again, currently zoned RA, and the future land use map of commercial as of the 2018 current map. This is the as-built survey for the property and the site plan. On May 27th, 2021, the subject property received an approved variance request, VR 2104, for relief from Highway Corridor Overlay District requirements regarding lot size, width, and road frontage requirements, given that the property, as is, does not meet the current Highway Corridor requirements. All other Highway Corridor requirements will be required of the site. That includes sidewalks, landscape strip, pedestrian lights, and street trees, and more. On January 5th, 2023, I apologize, that should say 2022, the Board of Commissioners denied a rezoning request RZ 2111 from RA Residential to C3 Highway Commercial for used automotive sales. The applicant is requesting to rezone the property from RA to O&I for the purpose of an office space. The existing home on the property would remain and be converted into an office. Future land use map designation of the subject property is commercial, which would support the request. Is, of course, within the Highway Corridor Overlay District and would be required to comply with those standards therein, again, including sidewalks, street trees, and pedestrian lights, and more. The zoning districts in the immediate area include commercial, industrial, and nearby businesses include automotive repair, flooring contractors, vehicle sales, and rentals. The O&I zoning district, as being requested, that would allow limited uses, primarily office, and will be less intense than the commercial zoning districts than what surrounds it. On the screen are some comments that we've received from various departments, including the Water and Sewage Authority, Environmental Health, DOT, and Public Safety. On July 20th, 2023, the Zoning Advisory Board recommended approval of the applicant's request to rezone the subject property from RA to O&I with the conditions shown on the screen. Staff has since added condition 3. That condition is going to be required regardless if it's in or not in this resolution. We wanted to include it just for clarity's sake. That is all that I have for you. Thank you so much, and I'd be happy to take any questions you might have.
Okay, this is a public hearing. Is there, if there's anyone here wishing to speak in favor of it, including the applicant, please come forward. You have a collective total of 10 minutes to address the board.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Good evening, Vice Chairman, members of the board. My name is John Oladokan, and I represent Latson International Consulting, LLC. Our company specializes in the provision of accounting, payroll, and tax services. And just like the staff said, we are requesting a rezoning of this subject property from RA to OI to allow us utilize the building for our office space. And we will appreciate if you would grant our request. Thank you.
Thank you. If there's anyone here to speak in opposition of the request, you also have 10 minutes. Anyone here to speak in opposition? Okay, all right. Are there any questions from the board? Commissioner Robinson, this is your district.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Some of staff, we did go out and view, we actually saw the property, so I clearly don't have a problem with changing it to the office space. Actually, I like that, so thank you.
Okay. No other questions or comments from the board? Can I get a motion?
Make the motion.
Got a motion and a second. No further discussion. All in favor? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the RZ 23-10, Sunrise Builders.
Good evening again, Chair, Vice Chair, board members, and citizens of Henry County. The rezoning request in front of you is for property located at 1004 Highway 81 West, west of Mill Road. This slide shows the proposed site plan provided by the applicant. And this slide shows the style of houses being proposed for the development. The applicant is requesting a rezoning from RA to R2 for a single-family residential subdivision consisting of 39 lots served by individual septic system as provided by the site plan. The future land use designation for the subject property at the time of application using the 2018 flume is low-density residential, which supports a density of up to 2 dwelling units per acre net, and the density of the proposed development is 0.91 dwelling units per acre. The subject property is located within the boundaries of the Highway Corridor Overlay District, and will be required to comply with all standards. A walking trail, children's playground, and open-air pavilion are provided in a dedicated green space on the western side of the property. There was an error regarding the property sharing an address with 1100 Highway 81. That has since been resolved with the tax assessor's office. It has the correct address. On September 7th, the Zoning Advisory Board did recommend approval with staff conditions. Staff recommends approval with the conditions shown on the overhead. I would like to make mention of 3 conditions. Condition number 10 states that all homes shall be side entry garages. All of the elevations showed in the presentation don't meet this standard. However, those elevations are just stylistic examples. This development will have all side entry. Condition 15 and 16 detail vegetated buffer requirements along the western property line where there are currently no trees, and the frontage along Highway 81, which will be required to have a landscape buffer with a 6-foot berm with highway corridor standards such as street trees, pedestrian lighting, and a 10-foot multi-use path. So these are the 22 conditions for the record. And I'm going to go back to the site plan for just a second to point out some of those conditions. So, condition 15 details a landscape buffer here. The rest of the property is pretty much covered on the perimeter, but we wanted to add some vegetation here to protect this homeowner. And then they're showing the sidewalk and street trees, but it's kind of hard to show a berm on a site plan, but they'll be required outside of the site plan street trees to have a 6-foot berm that's vegetated as well. So it's going to be you only be able to see this development from the road once all the trees are mature. And I will be happy to take any questions.
So you mentioned, okay, so let me do the public hearing first. This is the public hearing. Those wishing to come to speak in favor have a collective total of 10 minutes.
Good evening. Good evening, Madam Chairman. George Harper, Paramount Engineering, 11 East Broad Street, Noonan, Georgia. I'm here tonight representing Sunrise Builders on this project. Kamal did a great job, as always, presenting this case. And we had a very favorable zoning advisory group approval. It went through all of the stipulations that the county had, or conditions that they placed on it. We are in agreement with all 22 of those conditions. We did kind of speak with Mr. Lewis as well about his request of all side entry garages. We are in agreement with that as well. This will be a very nice upscale type neighborhood when it is constructed. You know, we'll comply with all the highway corridor overlay district and all of the county requirements. So I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have at this time.
Is there anyone here to speak in opposition of this project? Please come forward. You have, if you could state your name, and you have 10 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Gilles Saliès. I actually live on the 1100 highway, which was the first time the address was communicated, which was wrong. I'm happy this is taken care of. I am also happy to hear that there is some bushes that will be put there. Unfortunately, we requested a fence. The reason is because 2 of my sons are West Point graduates. One right now is in Bahrain, and his wife just had a baby. And so their horses will be coming back here. This is why we bought these 8 acres. The limit here, this being one of a side of each side will be divided per year to host the horses there. And I'm thinking that the trees will not be enough. I will put my own fence, whatever's required by the law to take care of my horses. I'm just wondering about the noise and, you know, anything that could be a problem towards my neighbors. This is all why I just asked that fence to be put there. Now, if you think that these bushes will be enough, I'm fine with it. You know, I'm not trying anything else. I'm happy he's got the address right. I'm happy everything looks good. I'm wondering, though, I have here the report of the accidents. I moved about 2 years ago, and we had 34 incidents that were just recorded by the police. That doesn't, even cover half of them. I started to call the police every time because of that issues there. But what's happening is people do not pay attention. There's more and more traffic. The traffic there is just awful. Actually, I can't turn left. I have to turn right to go wherever I want to go. So I used to work for AT&T, and we never could turn left. So I'm happy now. I learned that I can always turn right without an incident. Unfortunately, sometimes I have to turn left, and it takes me a little bit of time. I can imagine already with the apartments that are being built over there by BJ's, the amount of more people coming that way, plus these, I really would like something to be done about this road. It's going to be a real problem. Last time I couldn't go out to my house, so I could not get out because a truck couldn't get out. The road was stuck. It took about an hour and a half. I've been hostage in my own house. There is things that need to be done, and they can be done. But the county and the city are not friends. And I suppose it's money-wise. It is fine. I can understand that. Tax money is a great thing. I know you take care of it very well. So I just want you to really focus on this thing about accidents and about what's happening here, with this road. I just want to make sure that we are equipped. I'm willing to give part of my land in the front for you to have I'm European, I'm French, I'm American by choice, born French. But to build a roundabout in front of my house, I'll give you land to do that. That's how willing I am.
So where are you on 81? Which end of 81 is, which end of 81 is this?
This is home right here.
80 acres, right?
It's by where?
This is a church, hold on, I can show it on the map, give me 1 second.
That Oakland church there?
Yeah. So right in front of Oakland, that's that road.
Okay, that's the road, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I do believe that this road is a GDOT road, if I'm correct. So, yeah, it's not really up to the county.
Okay. I agree with you on 81. I'm not far from you.
And
So-
the truth is, it's a beautiful place,
Right.
beautiful people, but we really need to do something because my son just has a motorcycle a license. He's 17. I cannot afford him to have a driving license because when you're a male in Georgia and you have a pickup truck, it's way too expensive. So he has a motorcycle. And let me tell you, sometimes I see these people driving and I'm praying God that nothing is going to happen to him on this road, just coming out of my place.
Yeah. See, Highway 81 is a state route, and we have to get with GDOT to
Yes, ma'am.
see what type of partnership we can do to kind of slow things down on 81,
Yes, ma'am.
because they are flying through there.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know if more traffic signals or a roundabout or some sort, because you're right, all of those apartments that's up there by the BJ's, which is
Yes,
in the
ma'am.
city of McDonough,
Yes, ma'am.
it's going to be a nightmare when they're all completed.
It will. And I'm a Delta employee, so they don't drive fast, they fly low.
Yeah,
But they fly low very fast.
yeah,
So,
okay.
thank you for your
So
time.
you were talking about the fence. Is that going to cut down on sound barriers? Is that the reasoning you were asking for the fence?
Yes, so because of the horses, and, they'll be there at night. We'll put them on the other side when the weather is bad, but they will be staying there. We work with horses that have temper issue or socialization issues and stuff like that. My family has been working, I'm a Spaniard, and we have been working with horses early 1800s in Spain, in Catalan, and it's something we do in a family, and we don't do it for the money, we do it for the animals.
Okay. Kamal, is the trees going to,
So, the way we'll position the trees, they'll make a natural buffer, but if we were to put a fence on this side of the property line, we wouldn't be able to complete the fence without tearing up those trees that go further north. We don't want to tear up the natural vegetation. So I would suggest against the fence, but like you said, sir, you can put your own fence on your property line as well, and I think that'll help you out.
Not for the sound, per se, but for the protection of my horses, yes, sir.
Right.
We will.
Correct. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, sir.
Okay. So, this is your district.
And I did want to address and talk about the road. So that is definitely, you can have a seat, but I'll talk to you. But that is a concern, and especially a concern. I just attended the school board. They're putting a transportation facility on Nail Road, which is right down the road from where you are as well. So that is a definite concern. Did have a conversation, just a preliminary conversation with Rocky and with David Simmons, you know, and I put Nail Road on my LMIG so that we could go ahead and resurface that road and widen it. But we will probably need to have some conversations just with GDOT just to see what we can do about that area because it will be congested. But thank you very much for your concerns. I appreciate that. Going to Sunrise Builders, I think this is a very, very good project. First of all, thank you for working with Kamal. He did a fantastic job, I think, of making sure this is a viable project. I've seen some of your other work. I think you did Providence Harbor over there in McDonough. Very nice neighborhood, so quality work, so appreciate that. So I'm very much in favor of this project. Low impact, 39 homes, you know, basically one house per acre, which is consistent with what we have in the area. So very much in favor of. Thank you very much to the applicant. And if there are no other questions from the board, I would like to move to approve this motion.
Commissioner Wilson, you had a question?
I do. I noticed there's a buffer around the perimeter on the side and the back, and there's a buffer between the back loop and that center loop, but there's no buffer between lot 35 and 34 and, well, 35, 34, then backs up to 33, 32, 31, 30. There's no buffer there. Is that for any particular reason?
Yes, sir. So I'm going to let Brett speak to that because this is a problem he has to deal with when he does his review.
Okay, if I'm not mistaken, you're referring to a buffer. I apologize, my eyesight is not as good as it used to be in my old age. So you're referring to the buffer behind the front left street right there, backing up to the additional houses off the Second Street, correct?
Well, yeah, you got two houses backing up to 4. Then there's no
Okay,
buffer.
yes, sir.
No buffer there, but there's buffers all the way around the property, and then there's one in the back.
So in terms of buffer, when we say that, we have to make sure we define it very specifically in terms of what you're looking for, because that comes down to not only from a review perspective, a final plat perspective, and from an inspection perspective. We also require from our county ordinances for final plats to indicate on all rear and side property lines drainage and sewer easements, which obviously this development is septic at the moment, but it is a county code requirement to indicate that for future drainage and sewer easements. So when we put those buffers in there, it requires maintenance. More oftentimes than not, we end up seeing things encroach on those buffers. So my only request is, if that is the pleasure of the board to add something, we specify exactly what we want to see in that buffer.
I just seen it on the rest of the subdivision, didn't see it there, I didn't know if there was a reason that it was absent.
So every tree that you do see in the development, those are already existing.
Oh, so you tell me you'd have to plant trees there then?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
That's all.
Got a motion on the floor. Is there a second? Got a motion and a second. No further discussion. All in favor? Motion carries. Call for the next one.
Thank you, everyone. The chair has another engagement, so I'll go ahead and continue the meeting. The next case we have is a resolution by the Board of Commissioners to transmit the state-required capital improvement element annual update and CIE Community Work Program to the Atlanta Regional Commission for evaluation by the Georgia Department of Community Affairs. And I think Mr. Kirk is presenting.
So this is a yearly event for us. The capital improvement element is required for a local government to collect their development impact fees. Those governments that wish to impose development fees must have an adopted comprehensive plan that meets the minimum standards and procedures for local comprehensive planning. A capital improvement element establishes when and where new capital facilities are planned to be provided. Completing a necessary annual CIE update is a component of the standard maintenance and upkeep of the local comprehensive plan for communities who undertake the collection of these fees. This is a public hearing, and staff is just asking permission to transmit this year's CIE update to DCA for review. I'll answer any questions you have.
As Mr. Kirk stated, this is a public hearing, so if we have anyone wishing to speak in favor of this, you have time to come up forward at this time. We have 10 minutes. Does anyone wish to come forward in favor? All right, and do we have anyone who wishes to come forward in opposition? You have 10 minutes as well. No one in opposition. All right, do I have any further questions from the board before we go for a motion? Questions? We have a motion on the floor and a second by a motion on the floor by Commissioner Angman, second by Commissioner Robinson. If there's no further discussion, we'll go ahead and have a vote. All those in favor?
Okay. Thank you.
Unanimous approved. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
The next resolution we have is with the Community Development Block Grant, resolution approving the proposed federal year 2022 Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, authorization of execution and submittal of the report to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. Presenter is Shannon Sandio, Cluster Lead. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Good evening, Vice Chair and members of the board. Again, as mentioned, I am presenting before you all this evening our draft CAPER for the federal fiscal year of 2022. The CAPER is commonly known as the CAPER, but essentially it is our Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report. This is a requirement from HUD, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, as a recipient of its Community Development Block Grant funds. The CAPER provides HUD and residents of Henry County an opportunity to evaluate our overall performance with the CDBG program and how we've carried out the priorities and specific objectives identified in the county's consolidated plan as well as its annual action plan. It describes specifically actions, changes, and accomplishments from the year 2022 resulting from its CDBG program funding. Staff published a public notice of the draft plan in the Wednesday, September 13th edition of the Henry Herald, and has held an open public comment period since that time. Copies of the draft plan were made available across the county for review as well as on its website. In summary, the year 2022 utilized Community Development Block Grant funding to achieve the rehabilitation of 24 single-family owner-occupied low to moderate income households benefiting from housing rehab assistance. A total of 10 public service activities were completed, providing services to those experiencing homelessness, those seeking to prevent homelessness, as well as assistance to food bank services, health and medical services, and services for youth. 3 public facility improvement projects were completed, providing assistance to the City of Hampton with the completion of its stormwater and street improvements to West Main Street, and the City of Stockbridge with the completion of improvements to the Smith Barnes Sewer Basin located in the Ty Street area, and the Henry County Stormwater Department completing the first phase of improvements in the Greenview Home subdivision. Additionally, the county assisted the McDonough Housing Authority in the completion of modernization of 5 public housing units. Approximately $1,014,000 of CDBG funds were expended for the previously mentioned activities during the program year. The activities were carried out in compliance with federal funding limits specific to administration and planning costs, as well as our public service activities. This is a public hearing, and I'm also happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Gotcha. As she stated, this is a public hearing, so anyone wishing to speak will have a total of 3 minutes each. Do we have anyone wishing to speak on this matter?
So I also have a PowerPoint, which I never flipped through. My apologies. Within the PowerPoint, we do highlight some of the totals that I did mention to you all. Let me add, with public service funding, we benefited 7,077 persons. Public facilities, a total of 7,111 households. Again, with the public housing modernization, there were 5 households. We also break down the total funding expenditure for the various activities.
Thank you, Shannon. Did you have anything else before discussion? Okay. And very well-run program, by the way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any of the commissioners have a question? Oh, sorry.
Open it up. Right. He did. Yeah, you went back.
It says a public hearing, say anyone wishing to speak has a total of 3 minutes each, whether they're for or
Okay.
against.
All right, thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you. Any questions from the commissioners? All right, can I get a motion?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, let's go ahead and vote. All those in favor? None opposed? Thank you. Motion passes. Thank you, Shannon.
Thank you all for your support of our federally funded programs.
All right, we now have a resolution to approve the 2023 through 2027 analysis of impediments to fair housing choice. Once again, Shannon presenting that as well.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. With the adoption of its consolidated plan and its acceptance of community development block grant funds from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, Henry County has a mandate to affirmatively further fair housing. A part of that mandate is that we conduct an analysis of impediments to fair housing choice, commonly known as the AI. It's to ensure that we take appropriate actions to overcome the effects of impediments identified through the analysis and to maintain records reflecting the analysis and the actions. Standing with me this afternoon is Ms. Marjorie Willow, principal with M&L Associates. She will guide us through the findings of our current AI, of the proposed AI, I should say, and we're happy to answer any questions. But before I turn it over to Marjorie, I do want to make you all aware that we began this process in March of 2023. In total, we've held 10 stakeholder workshops in conjunction with 1 presentation and multiple public meetings. In addition to them being in person, we also held virtual meetings. Surveys were made available in paper form as well as online through June 2015. Ms. Willow?
So to start my presentation tonight, I just want to give you a little bit of the background about fair housing. So fair housing is the right for everyone to choose housing free from unlawful discrimination, and specifically enshrined in state and federal law are what are called protected classes of persons. And at the federal level as well as the state level, the federally protected classes include race, color, religion, national origin, sex, disability, and familial status. And these are all personal characteristics, some of which we can't control. And all of these characteristics have absolutely nothing to do with housing, which is why they're enshrined in law, because discrimination based on these characteristics are illegal. As Shannon mentioned earlier about the requirement to affirmatively further fair housing, every year when Henry County submits its annual action plan, as well as its upcoming, or its recent consolidated 5-year plan, there is a certification that the county has to sign off on, and this is a legal certification. And basically, it means that for receiving those community development block grant funds from HUD, the county affirmatively furthers fair housing. And what this means is, it's more than just trying to stop housing discrimination from occurring, but it means that the county will take proactive steps to desegregate and racially integrate racially concentrated areas of poverty. The way that you demonstrate to HUD, if HUD should want to see how the county has affirmatively furthered fair housing, is by producing this AI. Because the AI is a policy analysis document, so we looked at various policies in the county, and we identified where there, as well as the municipalities who participate in the urban county designation. And we look for where there might be provisions that can restrict housing choice for members of those protected classes that I mentioned. So as Shannon said earlier, this was a community-led process. The county also had a video of the presentation that we used in all of the public outreach that was posted on the website for those who could not attend. We drafted the document, there was a public comment period, and it brings us to tonight's public meeting. So this is the third AI that the county has prepared since it originally received its designation as a HUD grantee, meaning every year HUD grants the county an annual allocation of community development block grant funds. And so we did want to tell you of some of the progress since the last AI in 2018. And so the county did increase the supply of decent, affordable, and accessible housing through the rehabilitation of 105 units, specifically for persons who are elderly and persons with disabilities. Rehabilitation is very important of existing housing because it preserves your affordable housing stock. The county also leveraged NSP, Neighborhood Stabilization Program funding, for the development of 7 affordable housing units in the county. Again, creating new affordable housing units for income-eligible households. The second area where progress was made was increasing the level of accessibility in government buildings and facilities. And so in both McDonough and in Hampton, CDBG funds were used to install sidewalks, repair drainage issues, and stormwater improvements. So you might think, well, what does this have to do with housing? But fair housing is a very broad term, and it speaks more to the quality of life that members of the protected classes have where they live. And so when you talk about improving sidewalks in areas that don't have sidewalks, or drainage improvements in areas that constantly flood, you're working toward improving the quality of life for areas where there's perhaps high concentration of low-income minorities who live there. And that's really what that affirmatively furthering fair housing certification speaks to, is how well does the county try to balance the investment of its federal funds, specifically CDBG funds in this case, with improving the quality of life where low and moderate income members of the protected classes live now, so that their neighborhoods or municipalities are better, and creating opportunities, affordable housing opportunities outside of those areas should someone choose to move elsewhere, whether it's to be closer to their job, put their kids in a better school, whatever the choice is. So how is the county balancing that? And finally, expanding homeownership and fair housing education opportunities, particularly for the Spanish-speaking community. And Metro Fair Housing, who is a critical partner in advancing fair housing education, outreach, and enforcement with Henry County, provides regular fair home buyer training sessions. And of the sessions that were held, it was those in Spanish that had the highest attendance. So you have a significant population of persons who are native Spanish speakers who are interested in becoming homeowners in Henry County, and this is helping them achieve that. I do have one slide that I want to show in terms of racial demographics. So on this slide, when you focus on the census tracts that have the orange crosshatch, these are areas where the percentage of low and moderate income persons is 51% or more. The shaded gray areas are areas where the percentage of non-white households non-white population, the residents, is equal to 65% or more. So where you need to focus on in this analysis is where those two characteristics overlap. And you can see there's several census tracts, especially in the northern half of the county and a few in the southern half, where you have both low and moderate income households with high minority populations. And so that's why we look at policy documents. What are policies that either the county can revise or policies that the county can create to improve the quality of life for people in those areas? Okay, so the crux of this document is the Fair Housing Action Plan. And I will say that I believe these actions were the same as the last maybe two plans, at least the last one plan. But that's not unexpected, because if you think about the kinds of conditions that we're talking about, lack of affordable housing, a lack of good, decent, and safe housing, the poor quality conditions that might exist in those neighborhoods that need sidewalks or especially drainage improvements, these are problems that have not occurred over the last year or two or even 5 years. Some of those problems, especially housing-related problems, have been occurring or have been in place for many years, and they're not problems that can be corrected overnight going forward. So as long as they're recognized and the county continues to make progress toward either eliminating them or making those conditions better, that's a good sign. You want to move in the positive direction on that spectrum. So the first action was the issue of municipal zoning ordinances that do not allow group homes by right in all residential districts. And there's also an issue about community opposition to allowing multifamily housing. And this is important because multifamily housing, especially funded with public resources, whether it's from HUD or through Georgia DCA or Georgia HFA, tend to be more affordable options for lower income families. And in the case of a fast-growing county like Henry County, current residents who live here need affordable housing, good quality housing in locations where they have amenities and access to those amenities, including, schools and transportation and childcare and healthcare. So there are, and we understand that municipal zoning ordinances are not under the authority of the county. However, our recommendation is that the county work closely with the cities to ensure that they're not impeding fair housing. That certification that you are required to sign, the affirmatively furthering fair housing requirement, you assume that as the county recipient of the funds, and when you provide funding to the municipalities, that requirement then flows through the county to those municipalities, and they have that same requirement. And so they might be provided public facility funding for stormwater or drainage improvements, but with the other hand, they can't deny affordable housing being built in their community. That puts the county's affirmatively furthering certification at risk. The second action is related to the first in terms of supporting the development of new affordable housing, such as senior housing, but really specifically for families with children. That makes it, one of the signs of how bad how deeply this is needed is McDonough Housing Authority has a waiting list of over 300 households that need affordable housing. So this would be expressed in the approval of either local approval for tax credits or approval of zoning variances or whatever actions need to be approved in order for projects like this to go forward and provide county households with safe and affordable housing. And the third action is to continue to preserve the existing affordable housing and increase the availability of affordable housing options. And one of the steps that can help this to become a reality is to continue that partnership that the county has with Metro Fair Housing. They provide fair housing education, outreach, and enforcement. So you sitting as the Board of County Commissioners cannot stop discrimination from occurring. But what you can do is provide the residents of Henry County with as much information and education as they need in order to, one, recognize when they've been discriminated against in their housing search or to keep their housing, that it is illegal and that they have recourse to fight against the individual or entity that discriminated against them. About 70% of housing discrimination occurs in the rental market. And so it's also important not only to provide tenants with this information, but also landlords, because landlords are coming into the rental market all the time, and some of them are what we call the small mom and pop landlords, who may not be aware that there are state and federal laws that regulate how and who they can rent their properties to. And so the more information you can provide to tenants and landlords, even to your appointed commissions, like the Planning Commission, who makes housing and housing-related decisions in the process of approving a comprehensive plan or the zoning board for land use decisions. They need to, learn how to see these decisions through a fair housing lens and how those decisions can impact the ability for the county to adequately house the residents here. So, once this document is approved by this commission, it will be submitted to HUD or made available for HUD to review at its request. And then the way that the county tracks its progress is through, its implementation is through its annual action plan. So every year when that annual action plan is prepared, Shannon will, identify those issues that, the activities that can be implemented that year. And then at the end of the year, in the CAPER document that she just reported on, that's how the county reports on its progress. Any questions?
Any questions from the board? Thank you very much for your presentation as well. And I didn't have a question, but I just had some comments. I just want to say, and to Shannon as well, you all are doing the people's work. This is extremely important, the type of work that you're doing, especially when, I'd look at repairs to the draining issues in the Blacksville community. It's not something that's just germane to Henry County. These are issues that you see in the city of Atlanta. These are issues that you see in many municipalities across this country. And these are issues that are decades and even more longer than that in the making. So I appreciate the work that you're doing. Will we also get a copy of this prior to submittal, or?
Yes, you all
Okay.
actually received it via email.
Okay.
I believe it would have been Thursday or Friday of
Friday,
last
okay.
week, but I can provide printed copies should either of you prefer that.
I didn't see it in my email, but I will double check. So thank you very much, Ms. Willow, and thank you, Shannon, for your continued work. This is also a public hearing, so anyone wishing to speak or make a comment, whether it's in favor or in opposition, you have 3 minutes each. So do I have anybody wishing to speak? Okay, all right. The board also stated they didn't have any additional questions, so at this time, we're going to ask for a motion. Okay, I have a motion from Commissioner Ames. Do I have a second? Second from Commissioner Thomas. Okay. And Commissioner Robinson wanted to tag along as well, so with that, if there's no further discussion, we'll go ahead and vote. All those in favor? All right, motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You have a great evening. And I think the last item we have on the agenda is a SPLOST resolution of the Board of Commissioners approving a budget amendment and awarding RFP 23-67 for the construction of a recreation center at North Mount Carmel Park to Cooper and Company General Contractors, Inc. of Cumming, Georgia, in the amount of $15,550,000 using SPLOST 5 funds and impact fees. This is District 5, and Mrs. Lynn Planchon. Thank you very much. Good to see you.
Good evening, Vice Chair and Commissioners. Yes, before you is a resolution approving a budget amendment and awarding RFP 23-67 for construction of the Recreation Center that will be located at North Mount Carmel Park. So SPLOST 5 was approved by voters in November of 2019. A new recreation center is an approved SPLOST 5 project. The purchasing department solicited proposals for construction of a new recreation center at North Mount Carmel Park and posted RFP 23-67 on the websites of the county, Team Georgia Marketplace, and ACCG GLGA. One proposal was received and reviewed. Cooper and Company General Contractors, Inc. of Cumming, Georgia, submitted the only proposal in the amount of $15,500,000. Funding is available from the following sources. We have $6 million in the SPLOST 5 Recreation Center, $2 million in a second SPLOST 5 Recreation Center, SP 5002. We have $1.8 million available in SPLOST 5 Nash Farm. We have $6.7 available in the SPLOST 5 unallocated, and we have $300,000 available in the district impact fees. So the summary of the necessary budget amendment will be to transfer $2 million from SP 5002 to the rec center, 1.8 from Nash Farm 5201, 6.7 million from unallocated, and then the 300,000 for a total budget amendment of 10.8 million. And here you can see some renderings, color renderings of the planned recreation center. This is the front elevation. This is also the front elevation, a little back and up. And then we have a side elevation view and another version of the side elevation view. It's a beautiful, state-of-the-art recreation center, and it'll be an absolute benefit to really everyone in Henry County, not just those in District 2, or District 5, sorry. And I'll be happy to answer any questions. Yes?
Just save you some money? I'm watching you.
We'll save you some money.
JP,
how does this fit into the comprehensive plan that we've been working on? Because that's not finished yet. Because this is a large investment to be making, and we haven't released our comprehensive parks plan.
Correct. As you know, we're in the middle of that plan, but I will say early findings, it is definitely a need. There are plenty more needs that we're going to be looking at as we roll out the final plan. And this was in the SPLOST before we started that process, but based on the findings thus far, it's definitely a need.
Can I have a follow-up question? Because there's a large amount of unallocated funds that is going into this. Could we use those unallocated funds for something that might be a higher priority on the comprehensive parks plan?
I mean,
Lynn, I think it would be helpful to explain to the commissioners where the unallocated funds are actually coming from.
Okay, so the unallocated funds are SPLOST 5 funds that have been collected in excess of what was projected, and we're using a portion. There is more. We're going to need those unallocated funds for the Aquatic Center, absolutely. So David Smith, absolutely, we consulted with the finance director to come up with how to get this done. It's unfortunate that inflation and construction costs are just really shocking, really. And if we wait, it's gonna cost more. So we would like to, the community, that area has been waiting for this for quite a long time. Actually, there was a recreation center west of I-75 on the SPLOST 3 program. And so we're finally going to, do what we said we were going to do by moving forward with this.
Can I go with Commissioner Robinson first?
I just wanted to say too that this is a great plan, and that side of town, like you stated, has been waiting for this investment, and we have the balanced investments for the county. So I do commend him for getting it in the books and getting it ready to go and getting everything in place, because it is needed. And I'm so happy to see that you didn't just plan something for the now, but plan for the future. It won't be outdated. You've added features in there. I can tell that you added other features in here that will be long life for the whole thing. We're just watching your dollars, but we want you to have it.
I completely understand.
Mr. Vice Chair, well, this is a beautiful facility, and of course, I'm like Commissioner Thomas, I'm watching, because I have a lot of facilities that need improvements, deep improvements. Over the years, there's a lot of neglect have went forth, so I'm watching this, but I love this, so it gives me hope for the future, but hopefully we won't have to wait long, because, District 2 would love to have some of that funding if it's available, so definitely watching, so thank you.
So if I may, because I want to make sure the board is clear, SPLOST funds can only be used on projects that have been identified. The uniqueness in what Commissioner Lewis inherited is that the predecessor did not specify projects specifically. And so he has a little more flexibility in terms of being able to utilize projects for recreational, for parks. But if there are projects that are listed within our SPLOST program, we are working diligently to figure out how where we've collected more than projected, how we can put those towards projects. I also want to go back to Commissioner England's comment in terms of the Parks Master Plan, because he has been a huge advocate for making sure that that plan has been completed and that we're following it. And we are still doing that. The difference here is that this is a project the voters voted on. As you all heard earlier in tonight's presentation, we're already planning for SPLOST 6. And so one of the charges that our team has been hearing from me is we've got to move on these projects. And unfortunately, although we only had one bid, if we were to wait, we would not award this until next year. And so it's important for us to move the project, but I hear you loud and clear. We know what your priorities are. We're trying to make sure that we are able to identify funding sources. I'll be honest with you, District 5 and District 3, from an impact fee standpoint, you all get those reports monthly. That's what's driving the cost. And so believe you me, Jonathan is looking at all of our parks, trying to figure out where we can enhance those parks. Commissioner Thomas is being quiet at the end, but she has a beautiful park that's getting ready to come on board as well. And those are just things that we've been able to do with our SPLOST dollars and with those impact fees that we've collected. But we are going to work steadily. Commissioner Robinson, I know which park. We're going to work on it, I assure you.
And I just want to do a follow-up, Mr. Vice Chair. I don't want to take away from Jonathan. What I'm stating is, I love this. I mean, so I can see what the vision is, and I can appreciate that because I know what's to come. So I just want to thank you both for working diligently because I see what the vision and I like it. I really like it.
I want to add on to what the county manager stated. So, been talking with Lynn and JP, and I know they heard me and they probably got tired of me, but I don't think they got tired of me because I think we all want the same thing. And I've been browbeating about we need to get projects done. The voters voted to make sure that we had money allocated to get projects done for quality of life for all of Henry County. It's not just District 5. Just as Commissioner Thomas has the park coming up on Banks Road, was going to be fantastic. She did a fantastic job getting that on the way. It's on the way to completion. We need to make sure this is completed. We sat and brainstormed, and we had to find the money because, you know, I was getting ready to come to David, and I was ready for that fight, you know, for the general fund. And I knew that was going to be a fight, but we were able to figure out, you know, that there were some unallocated funds, and it's not just for District 5, it's for the entire county. To Lynn's point, the next discussion is going to be the aquatic center. You know, when we voted for these projects, or when these projects were voted for, the level of funding that was approved for these projects in no way, shape, form, or fashion is going to be enough with the inflationary cost that we're seeing. We're going to be millions of dollars shy, and so thankfully, we have, you know, more money collected in SPLOST 5 than, you know, what was previously anticipated, and so we can draw on that without touching the general fund, without, you know, messing with the county's, you know, overall budget. But we need to do these things. This is what the citizens of Henry County have asked for, and we need to make sure it happens. So very thankful for you all for working with me. Like I said, I think this will be something that everybody in the county will enjoy. You know, it's not just District 5. So with that, does anybody have any more questions for Lynn or JP? Commissioner Wilson.
I'm concerned about the unallocated funds because we have 3 fire stations that we have not constructed yet. So we know that there's $3.5 million per station. That's without site work. Well, I guess you can include site work, but it's going to be a whole lot more. But that's without property. Now, we have property for one of the replacement stations, but we don't have, we're working on property for up there off Jodico. But if we have to buy the property for the one down off Snap and Shows, and plus the increase of construction costs for 3 fire stations, would that come from unallocated funds as well? And do we have enough to put into those facilities where we can construct them? Because this is a beautiful facility, I agree. But I don't want to take away from having to, from the construction of 3 fire stations. That's important to our community and to our county. So do we have enough unallocated funding to fund 3 new fire stations?
Yes, sir. So Commissioner, the manner in which we have been trending since the inception of our SPLOST 5 program leads us to where our collections have exceeded what our projections are. Obviously, one of the things that we look at daily is what our collection rates are, but also the cost to do business. And that's one of the things that Lynn and her team has sat down with our fire chief, our public safety team, to make sure that we have funding that's available. To your point, we have a replacement fire station within your district that we're moving forward on. We have another fire station in District 4 that was part of the SPLOST 5 referendum that we're moving forward on. And we also have identified, and we've been in conversation with another property owner on a tract of land that will be in District 3. So we've identified all 3 parcels. Based on the cost of those properties, we are confident that we will not have a shortfall for those properties. The biggest challenge we have right now is I can get the fire stations built. It's being able to get apparatus produced and delivered. And so if you'll remember some of the conversations and some of the actions that the board has been taking over the course of the last couple of meetings is to go ahead and purchase apparatus, get replacement equipment, because what I don't want is for us to get a fire station built and then we don't have the apparatus to go within it. So part of developing our SPLOST 5 list, there was a percentage of contingency put in because we knew that the cost, obviously inflationary costs were going to go up, but I don't have any doubt that we'll have the funding available to construct those fire stations, because that's what the voters asked for, and that's what we are committed to delivering.
It can be purchased unallocated fund, correct?
It can be purchased, but Lynn, I think when we start planning for fire stations, we do incorporate some apparatus costs. Is that correct?
In SPLOST 5, the apparatus costs were covered under the fleet replacement plan.
That's correct.
But now, is there enough funding to order the equipment? Or do we have to bring it out of unallocated funding?
So,
But
Commissioner,
if that's the case, we need to start ordering the equipment from unallocated funding to where we have the equipment here when we build the fire stations, correct?
That is correct. So what we've been doing is going ahead, planning ahead for the replacement apparatus and what we need. The challenge we have is being able to get that equipment. Most of our fire apparatus, you're not going to make a payment on it until it's delivered. So me setting that funding aside right now, I don't need it right now. We still have a whole year left in our SPLOST program, and there should be no lapse, obviously, if the voters elect to renew that penny, where it'll continue going. But again, we're in the month of October. November and December are typically high collection months for the county and the 4 cities. And so based on, again, our collections, we feel confident that we'll be able to not only deliver what we've committed to delivering, but we'll have the adequate funding. In the event that we don't, that's what those funds are for. The great part about the unallocated is that it can only be used for those projects that have been identified within our SPLOST program.
So with the Aquatic Center, I think there's $22 million that's set aside, and of course, it's bigger. So what's the estimated cost for the Aquatic Center?
It will exceed $22 million.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So you're going to need the unallocated funds for that. So if you go 30, 40, $50 million, I mean, I'm just trying to make sure before we start assigning unallocated funds for the fun stuff, the rec center and the aquatic center, make sure we have our public safeties squared away first.
So Commissioner, the voters identified projects, and this was a project that was in our SPLOST list. So whether it's fun or pretty, we have to deliver both. We've got to build the fire station, and we have to build the rec center. We don't know what the use of unallocated funds will be until we award a contract. I can't arbitrarily just throw out a number and tell you, I think it's going to be 40 or I think it's going to be 50. The great part is the bids are out for the aquatic center, so hopefully in the next month and a half, we'll have a better idea of what that cost will look like. And obviously, at that point, once we get the cost in, we'll be back before this board to award that contract. And at that time, if we determine that we need to utilize unallocated funds, we can. But the one thing I think is important, and I can't remember which commissioner asked us to do it, but you all have always told us, be innovative, be strategic. This is not just unallocated funds. We're looking at other projects. We've moved funds from Nash Farm Park. We have other funding sources within that respective district that we're shifting those funds from to make up for the difference. The unfortunate part is we can't control the cost, and we're at the mercy of the contractors that submit proposals.
That's all I have.
Thank you.
One last comment, because it keeps coming up when we talk about construction, this is the point of clarity. We talk about inflation. Inflation last year was approximately 8.2%. With that being said, the problem that we're facing in this new construction is not necessarily inflation. It is actually the material cost of which we're trying to buy things and the supply of available contractors that can actually do large commercial work that we're requiring. So I keep hearing inflation come up. Inflation is not the big thing that we're actually fighting. It is actually material cost and supply of available contractors to do the work. Thank you.
I think, County Manager, one thing that would help all of us is to go ahead and give us an updated email on dollars and cents of unallocated funds, the ones that have been used so far, what's available today, what's the perspective or the projection for the end of the year. And that may very well help all of us understand how it's been used. I know we have not had a detailed budget presentation within months, which we should have had, but whatever. But if you just go ahead and get that to us, that will help us all. But I really do think this is a good use of funding. I don't have any problem with the use of these fundings for this facility.
Will do. I'll make sure that we have a budget report at the next meeting. And just for those that are viewing, I want to just reiterate, unallocated funds have to be approved by the Board of Commissioners. We don't shift funds. The county manager is not authorized to shift funds. So any use of unallocated funds does require the Board of Commissioners to authorize those funds, the use of those funds. And I'll get that information, Commissioner Thomas. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any other discussion? Thank you, County Manager.
Thank you.
If there's no further discussion, asking for a motion. Motion to approve, Commissioner Anglin, second, Commissioner Robinson. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion passes 4-1. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And Stephanie, I don't think, we didn't have anybody sign up for public comment, did we?
No, sir.
Okay. Thank you. For approval of minutes, we had an August 14th regularly scheduled BOC meeting, then the August 31st joint meeting with the Airport Authority at 2 p.m., and also we had a joint meeting with the Building Facilities Authority at 4 p.m. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes for those three meetings? Motion, Commissioner Anglin, second by Commissioner Robinson. All those in favor? All right, upcoming meetings and events. We heard earlier tonight we will have a special call meeting on October 30th at 9 a.m. November 7th, 2023 is a regularly scheduled BOC meeting. November 28th, 23 is a regular scheduled BOC meeting, which will be on the fourth Tuesday of the month. This time, can I have a motion to adjourn? Motion, Robinson, second by Commissioner Anglin. All those in favor? Thank you. You all have a great evening. Thank you.